Good afternoon, synth men, synth women. It's a fine late summer's afternoon here in Edinburgh, Scotland, where the Elements Synthesizer has been designed. I'd like to show this afternoon, or demonstrate the ultimate, final, very ultimate filter that I've been working on for the synthesizer. The very original synthesizer that I made of this configuration, in fact that's the first one there, featured a diode ladder filter, which is dramatic and wonderful, and very acidic. I have worked on variants of that filter since back then. I think it was December last year that I was ecstatic about using a diode ladder filter. Now they're quirky beasts. I've got a few things here that I will show you. Going right the way back, I tried two types. One was the Practical Electronics magazine Mini Sonic filter, which is quite nice, but was a bit raspy and hard for me. And this one here was my look at the Roland System 100M filter, which actually proved to be a very pleasant sounding thing. So these two guys were the early start of the development. Now where do we go? Inside this one we have the first incarnation of how I took the System 100M design and modified it a little, and here there's not many parts left on this thing, but this had that filter in it again, and I began to discover something that actually started to do my head in a little bit, and that was the nature of the diode ladder filter. If you can imagine a transistor ladder being like, I'm climbing a ladder but I can hold on with my hands as I go up. And it's kind of like the way the current goes up. It's got the safety handle. The transistor ladder the diode ladder filter is a more volatile thing. It's kind of like walking up a ladder but with no handles on it. So one takes the design and one tries to, you know, make it better, which I did. And this one here, this was this little thing here. This was test printed circuit board for the diode ladder filter. The System 100M filter has transistors running down each side. Also at the top of the ladder are special transistors, and there are a thing called matched transistors down near the bottom of it. And all this stuff is extremely sensitive. And it also has a thing that caused me a bit of a problem, and that was the what's called DC balance. Now DC balance applies to a diode ladder filter almost the same way that you have the VCA thump control on a preset on a VCA, but the diode thing has to have an incredible amount of matching in it. I went through all sorts of things, and eventually, let me see which one this one is. Yep. This was one of the filters that you might have heard, and I describe this as like a trance filter, because you can send your audio into the thing and you can sweep it with soft waves like triangle or sine waves. But when you inject a spiky waveform like a sawtooth or a square, the thing starts popping and banging. And I have spent many days and nights, probably weeks, hitting months, trying to get rid of the pop and the bang. And it isn't so easy, and to me, unacceptable. You will always get with output VCA some degree of pop or bang, but this was popping and banging before the VCA, so then you have like two problems. You have to trim down the VCA and you have to trim down the actual filter itself. So this caused me a lot of grief, angst, whatever you want to call it. I built it again here, and as you can see, by the way, these are surface mount parts. I'm not afraid of surface mount parts. In fact, sometimes they make sense, and in this case it makes sense because I started using matched, truly matched diodes in the ladder, and in what is called a differential amplifier I used super matched transistors, and I came to a conclusion that this will always be a bangy, poppy filter. Now, in a moment of despair, I built up this, which is TB303 filter. It's the kind of thing that you get in a Zox box, that type of thing. What I found with this, the nature of its design, not much pop or bang, but the problem is what I'd done with the originals that I was working on, which have this absolutely lovely curve on it, when it just on the knee when it's hitting resonance, that all got lost in this thing. Now the TB filter, yeah, it's lovely, it's kind of juicy, plasticky, and I will imagine that some people do very much like the warble in the filter. When the audio signal is applied, the resonance starts to fluctuate a bit, and that was not exactly what I wanted. So finally I kind of put my head together. There's another diode filter, by the way. I put my head together and worked the transistor ladder and introduced diodes into the transistor ladder as well. And this has a quite remarkable sound. It's very, very close to the sound that I was touching on earlier. And in fact, the nice thing about this is there's no thump or bang going on with this thing at all. And I've realized this is it. Now, I can't move this camera, but there is a little circuit board down here which has super matched transistors all the way down the ladder, and it also has super matched transistors in a thing called the differential amplifier, and I have used a circuit that amplifies these things to a thing called threshold, and when it hits a threshold it exhibits something not dissimilar to the diode ladder sound, and that's where I'm leaving it. I read a about one of the synthesizer manufacturers. He's quite a famous guy. Has made a machine where people on forums have said, well, it's still a bit clicky and it's a bit thumpy. And this has been a major concern of mine. And now I'm proud to show that my thing that I've designed, however it's been done, doesn't exhibit that problem at all. So, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to set this to a certain thing. I've got the Elements prototype number 3 sitting here, which came after this one, and something lying down there, and now we have this. Anyway, I'll stop blabbing on. Let's give it a wee listen. So, using the CV out of this one, which is the last kind of prototype that you saw, maybe we can hear something. Let's see what it does. That kind of squawky edge is what I'm after. I'm using sample and hold here because it uses all the kind of voltages from low and high to change the pitch. So on the Elements, the original filter just was a filter. On the later version, I wanted 2 kind of slopes. This one is a 30 dB like slope because I have an extra ladder in it. And this is the 6 dB one. I've got a slow triangle wave coming out of this one, sending to the circuit board here. But it's got that kind of duck walk thing happening with it. That's what I call it. Go back to the deeper response. Now, I'll stick another oscillator in. And I will stick some envelope in. Bit of noise. And it just like shuts up. I'm going to take noise off a sec. I'm going to take that oscillator off as well. Open it up. That was a bit of glide I just stuck on. Go back to this other response. Take glide off. Now you can imagine if something was being chromatically played, this would make more sense than the sample and hold. As I say, I use it because we can show the pitches going up and down. I'm going to apply a little of this to the filter as well. Bring this down. Change the pole. I do have reverberation on in the background here, but adds a little bit. Just taking that off. And now I'll give it a deeper response. Now one thing that I want to do before I finish this vid is turn these oscillators off, turn the envelope off and all that sort of stuff, and I want this to oscillate. Okay. Turn that off. This thing, the new filter, tracks beautifully. And I'm gonna see what happens here. Switch these guys off a sec. Well, there you go, folks. That's the filter that's going in the Elements, and that's my final stab at it. It's great, I think. I've gotten rid of all kinds of problems from this. What you heard there was the filter and the VCA, and the VCA is nice and quiet too. So I've kind of cracked a nut that was doing my head in. Now I'm happy. So good afternoon. Bye for now.